One never knows how powerful the mind truly is. This interview, Ericka Slaton, I don't think she realized how strong her mind was. Truly, when I uncovered the root behind the establishment of that mindset, starting at 5 years old, early age, getting involved with athletics like many of us do. As she traveled through life, she became strong with her passion for religion, her passion to be a mom, and her passion to take no prisoners. When she got knee-deep in the woods, staying at her mom, having her first child, and having nowhere to go. She could have quit. Not Ericka Slaton. You got to listen to the end as she unpacks the true destiny that she had. Ultimately, to be the best version of herself, her mindset is so incredibly inspiring. You have got to dial in and check out the strength of this woman. Check this out.
This is my favorite part of the day, I got to tell you. Before I introduce another I'm on a roll with lovely young ladies every Sunday, because it's like, I'm going to call this the Power December, because it's one after another. Before I have the pleasure of introducing Ericka Slaton, man, another powerful young lady. I met her through a mutual, another Cora, who I spoke with, good Lord, a mother, a nurse, a competitor. She's an amazing woman, and I know she speaks high marks of Ericka. I can't wait for her story. I know she put her intake just brief. They kind of touch base on what they want to share, but in the past 8 years or so, holy shit, Ericka, single mom, army wife, 4 kids, and just a whole lot of bumps and bruises along the way, which I'm like anxious to hear. So we know this is the Unbroken Talk. Again, I'm Richard Widmer, and I just investigate the strength of individuals coming on this show, man, because I can't wait. That smile, I know behind those beautiful eyes is a power mind, which I want to unfold itself. So Ericka, just kind of take us anywhere you want at whatever age you want, because, I'm going to be putting 2 cents in and probably twisting it every which way to Sunday to get out what I want to get out. But just inspire, man. Share of what you will on what it's like to be Ericka.
Cool. What it's like to be Ericka. Okay. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me here with you. I love talking about my journey because a lot of people don't really know. We see people on stage all the time, but we have no clue what got them there or anything, what they dealt with. And I know for me, my journey with bodybuilding did not start when I wanted it to. I wanted to get into bodybuilding when I was back in 2016. I heard about it from a couple that I met through a mutual friend. I'd never known anything about bodybuilding prior to this. I'd been athletic my whole life, but never knew about bodybuilding. And so when I met them, I was like, oh, that sounds cool. Lifting weights, being strong, all I thought it was. And then, getting on stage in heels and a swimsuit pretty much. And next thing I know, I'm pregnant. And so all my plans pretty much just kind of go to crap at that point.
So let me freeze you. Let me freeze a little bit. So, and the foundation of meeting a mutual friend and Ericka is where the journey's really unfolding, is from stepping on stage in bodybuilding. But let's spin back. So how old were you when you wanted to start that journey to step on stage?
What is it now? 24?
2024. How old are you presently?
I'm 35.
You're young.
And
You're
so
a baby. You're a baby. Go back 8 years. Okay, so you're a baby compared to these grays. These grays are true. All right, so you're in your late 20s on. Yeah. So the story starts in the 820s. At least that's where you think you're going to start sharing, in your late 20s, wanting to step on stage. So you began your journey, and then you realized pregnancy. Take us from there.
Yes. So this pregnancy actually hit me pretty hard because I was recently laid off from my job, recently separated from my husband, who is now my ex-husband, and living in the house with my mom again. So I'm back at home with my mom in this, just one of her bedrooms, and I have no job. I don't know what's happening with my marriage. And then I find out I'm pregnant, and I'm like, what the heck? What is my life? And yeah, I was just like, okay, I was trying to do something for me in this time. And then, this comes up and it's just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, but I'm not the type of person to just kind of sit still. I'm not the kind of person to just kind of like cry about things or whatever. I was like, okay, well, I told my ex-husband, husband at the time, and he was just like, okay, we were really on bad terms at the time. So there was a lot of fussing and fighting and arguments during this pregnancy. But I stayed in the gym. I kept working out throughout my entire pregnancy. And, I was like, okay, well, after I have this baby, I'll get right back to it. That didn't happen either. I ended up getting pregnant again, and I got remarried. And then I had 2 more babies after that.
Okay, I'm going to freeze you.
Yes.
I'm going to freeze you because this is what's not only special for the children. They're healthy kids, everything, they're good. Okay, so kudos to that situation, which is impressive enough, but that's not what impresses me. What's going to impress me is getting answered what I want to know. So you said something interesting. Now, we started the journey and you thought it was, wanting to share about working out. Well, it is, but really I want to know what ticks upstairs because you were going through difficulties with a marriage at that time. When you were pregnant, you were married. Okay, so you had difficulties, moved back in with mom. I'm assuming mom gave support and such, but you said something interesting. You said, I'm not the kind of person that sits around. So that is like, I always talk on, this channel regarding, this is all about mindset, right? So, the story is always about sharing bumps and bruises by regular people and inspiring getting over it. But, how people get over it is the most intriguing thing for me, because that is really the link to help other individuals be inspired that, that regular people are real and people can get through stuff. Like I always share, I love feel-good stories, and I'm sure you can agree. And I always bring up, great athletes, the Michael Jordan's, his story that I saw. It's just incredible, but he's an anomaly, right? So you can relate to a point. It's like, I know the difficulties went through, but then, the guy's losing $1 million and, AC is in, he's like, shrug it off. Well-deserving, absolutely incredible and all the above, but he's an anomaly. You can't relate. But people are going to be able to relate to Ericka because, they've went through, you are not an original of being married, getting pregnant, didn't work out, being home. But you are selective with your comments on, I don't sit still and I got to do something about it. So we got to dial it back, like younger, like talk to me on, I want to talk. So you're in your mid-20s. Just take me through how you were, mom and dad. Was mom and dad together early on when you were, grade school? How was your family life then? Let's start there. Because I want to know how this mind came to, hey, I don't sit around and I got to do something. I want to know how that started.
So, we actually joke about it in my family about it being genetic with the women in my family. On my mom's side, we don't know how to sit still. We don't know how to wait for anybody to help us. We don't know how to just, nothing. We're always going. The next goal, the next thing that needs to be done around the house. Just
you guys feed off each other, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's come on now. I mean, inner circle, right? It's around, so it becomes instilled. So that's obviously your mom, your grandmom, everybody was like that. So early on, when you were a young kid, strong mom. Then.
Yes. Yeah. So my parents got divorced when I was 8. I still have a, good, great relationship with my dad and everything like that, all my siblings and stuff, but, they got divorced.
So, but well, wait, now it's freeze because I want to get I'm trying to visualize now. 8 years old, mom and dad, brothers, sisters.
I do have a brother and a sister at the time. I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest, so younger. So at 8 years old, from that point before the divorce was it solid household of support? Your mom was a busy bee non-stopping and you saw that, right?
Yeah.
Was there athletics or so? Were you athletic then?
Yes. I started dance when I was 3. I started playing soccer when I was 6.
Here it is. I always spell this. So 3 years old, and listen, they make it fun, but yet, you're still a young kid. Yeah, and I don't know if they gave participation trophies back then or not. They didn't, it was win or lose when I was, but they taught you, discipline. You had to wake up, you had to run, you had to know what coaches do. Early on, your mind started being conditioning. Was mom and dad enthusiastic to push you towards doing sports that early? Were they athletic? Where was the push that early on?
So both of my parents were athletes when they were in school, but I've just always been that person. And my parents can tell you even now, like, there's some people you need a coach with you in the gym. I don't need anybody. I motivate myself. I'm very much self-motivated. I'm going to get up and I'm going to do it. I'm going to write a plan. I'm going to figure it out.
You're goal-oriented, man.
Yeah.
You're goal-oriented.
And so, like, dance, and like I said, a lot of people don't know I dance. I was talking to somebody earlier, and she was like, "Oh, I didn't know you dance." I'm like, "Yeah, bodybuilding is everything right now, but I did a lot of stuff before this."
So you dance,
and dance is my
dance
first
competitions and stuff going on. Yeah, so dance, and then you said soccer. What was coming on as you got older? You continued for dance?
Yes, I didn't stop dancing until after I had my first child, my son. So in 2017.
So did you compete or on a travel team dancing? What kind of?
I was on several teams. So like growing up, I was with a dance company. We did ballet, tap, jazz, points. And then when I got into school, I was on a dance team in middle school. I was the co-captain of the team in middle school, the captain of the team in high school. And then when I got into college and after college, I was on a couple other teams.
So you really conditioned your mind for your passion, your discipline, your desire, got a taste of competition. So really you got it on where it is. Okay, so now I see where it conditioned itself to where we're going to pick up. But prior to, do your inner core of friends or family, I know the parents got divorced, but do you have anything to share worth sharing where it was some difficulties where your patience and your mind was tested? Was there any, drug related incidents or growing up or friend related or anything physical up to the point through college when you started becoming a young adult? Anything that you could think of that happened?
So there are some personal bumps and bruises. Too personal for me to talk about on here.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
I'm in therapy right now, and so I haven't even covered everything with my therapist yet. But I had friends, but they didn't last long, if I'm being honest, because I never really had friends that were into sports like I was. Me and other females, we never really clicked. They were all very girly and things like that. And I'm like, that's just not me. I like to eat big. I like to lift heavy. I like to, play sports, run around, play football with the boys. I actually tried to play football in in middle school, but it wasn't as well received back then as it is like now. There are some people actually playing football in school, but yeah. So yeah, I really struggled with friends, especially because I was a bit of a nerd. I definitely call myself a nerd. I was popular in the sense that people knew me, but I didn't party. I did not do drugs of any kind. Alcohol wasn't a thing. Sex wasn't a thing. Like, I was just not that person.
Let me ask you something. When you say, and it's refreshing to hear, but I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you. So you said to me that you were the captain of travel team and such, and you weren't the normal. So what do you think the main reason you didn't have any interest with anything that would potentially drugs wise or anything? You didn't have any, that wasn't you. Why do you think that was such an easy choice for you to say, hey, why do you think that is?
It wasn't a common thing in my family at all. I was never going to do anything that could land me in jail. And I was scared of my parents. Like, absolutely not.
There
If
you
my
go.
parents
You
find
made
out
the right
about this,
choice. Yeah. And
like, no.
so
Like,
it
my
was
parents
good
weren't
upbringing.
abusive, but if they found out, no, like, absolutely not.
Good upbringing. Did it cross your mind as far as you didn't want to do anything to hinder your performance in any way, shape, or form on doing dancing or any of that kind of what you set your sight on?
Back then, when I was younger, no, just because I didn't even think that deep into it. Like, the thought of drugs alone was just like, why? Like, I
Yeah.
didn't know anything about it. I mean, aside from what they taught us in health class, I was just like, why would anybody do that?
Yeah.
Like, and even the thought of alcohol, I'm like, I bet that tastes horrible. And even as an adult, I know unless you mix it with a bunch of stuff, it really doesn't taste that great.
Yeah.
Alcohol itself it's hard to take.
You made the right choices. I mean, it's just, and you're living the clean life, so it's commendable. So one other thing, and we'll fold in as at that point of getting on stage. But you mentioned, and I'm not going to pry at all, there were bumps and bruises going through an upbringing. As far as anything that becomes that has difficulty, what do you feel, because you continued to be, a wrecking force on things you wanted to accomplish. How did you handle the bumps and bruises that you saw or went through? You could, still working through it now, but how did you survive? Because it wasn't drugs, there wasn't a numbing agent, and you continued to be an athlete. How did you handle those bumps and bruises?
I tend to push a lot of things to the back of my mind, and we'll end up talking about this when we get, more current day, but I push a lot of stuff back. I can handle a lot of things on myself. Anything that happens to people around me that I love, I take very personally, and I will fight anybody. But when things happen to me, I just kind of suck it up and just move on. Like, oh, well, that's life. You know, I dealt with like a lot of insecurities and self-worth issues and things like that. And it was just like, well, I'll just be good at sports. I'll be good at dance. And that's what I did. I focused on those things because anything else was just too much to think about really emotionally. I was like, I can't do that. So we're going to focus here.
That is, I got to tell you, that is an amazing comment to be able to describe how you personally handled bumps and bruises. What you did is departmentalized them because of your mind being so strong. Your outlet for sports just gave you a great taste in your mouth. And it made you smile. We know, working out, releasing endorphins and all, hormones, and the balance of all is just makes you feel fantastic. But something wrong, you just pushed it into where it wanted to be and like let it, I could relate because I bury it.
Yeah.
Bury it down deep, deep. Yeah, it's still peeking its head through, and it'll work
that
out.
never happened.
That's
Doesn't
awesome.
exist.
So plain and simple, I know where the power of that mind, how that really developed. So let's dig into staying with your mom, getting through the difficulties with the divorce. You handled, divorce was over because then you met your now to be husband.
Yes.
And had another 2, 3. Good Lord.
Yep.
God
We had
bless
3
you.
girls.
3. Woo, man, I can't handle my oldest. That's fantastic. No, that's outstanding. So 3, and continue from the point of mid to upper 20s. Where are we with the journey? take us.
Wow. Oh, we go find daddy. All right. That's baby number 3 knocking on the door.
It's all part of being a mom, man.
So yeah, while I was pregnant with my son, like I said, I kept working out and everything like that. I was still kind of hopeful for my marriage to work out. Not that babies make marriages work, but maybe. But after the first month my son was born, I asked my ex, I was like, so do you want to work on this or not? Because I got to focus on him and I need to know what we're doing. And he said, no. I said, okay. And I never looked back. I was perfectly fine. I did my own healing throughout that process to figure out how I got to this place. I'm like, how did I end up in my mom's house with a baby, almost divorced and no job? Like, how did this happen? I did all the right things and yet I'm here. And so when he told me he wasn't willing to try anymore, I washed my hands of it and just kept pushing. And I was just focused on me and my son at that point. Continued to work out. And my current husband was actually someone I met back in 2009. So we already had a history together. We weren't dating at the time, but we found ourselves hanging out as we always end up randomly doing. That's the story for a whole nother day. And I ended up getting pregnant and I was just like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't have to be married. I'm not going through that crap again. I'd rather be single and raise my babies than be in a horrible marriage again. And so we weren't sure what we were going to do, but I was like, okay, I'm going to take care of you and your son and, while you're pregnant and everything. And then eventually we decided to get married. And he joined the Army and I had to adjust to that life. And it was harder than I thought it would be because we were away from family. I had never really been away from my family before. And not only that, but now I have 2 young kids. My oldest and my second oldest are 2 years apart. And so I'm trying to navigate this while being an Army wife, meaning I have very little control over what our life looks like. He doesn't have really control over what our life looks like. His work schedule was crazy. So trying to work out, I couldn't go to the gym like I wanted to. I started picking up a lot of bad habits in terms of eating out or eating cereal instead of real food. I was drinking sodas all the time and I don't even like soda like that, so just little things that weren't me, but I just got comfortable and didn't really know how to adjust.
And you're a mother of 4 at this point.
Now. No, at the time I was just a mother of 2, but then
mother of 2. Okay.
After having my first daughter, 9 months later, I'm pregnant again with the next one because all the girls are 18 months apart. So, it's just they just kept coming back to back. And I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of doing this.
Right.
And after I had baby number 4, I was like, I got to change it. I have to change what's happening. I'm not happy. And if I'm not happy, nobody's going to be happy. And so I hired a personal trainer because even though I knew what to do, I had gotten to such a rough spot that I needed the extra accountability.
So let me ask you, let's freeze right there. So going through, let's just call it husband, wife, and baby making time, or should I say building a family, in your case, a small baseball team, building a family time. Are you a religious person?
I am Christian.
Okay. So, as a brother in Christ, please share if, there was a big impact within, the time of having your first and then having your 4th, building that family, what kept you motivated if at all? A lot of bad habits. What kind of span was it from between, the time after or when you met your husband current to the 4th child? How much time between there?
Well, I can't say met because like I said, we met in 2009.
Or started forming a relationship?
Goodness, that was 3-4 years.
Okay, so because I'm asking, it's kind of, and this is where inspiration could come to others where you were on the cuff of, in your case, you wanted to take the physical training to anomaly of stepping on stage. So you were close enough, didn't quite do it. And then let's say the next, 3-4 years, the family came, and which is common for all, right? So it's the kids, Burger King, whatever it may be, just the bad habits from a wanting to take care of yourself. The nutrition aspect was not on the horizon. So that became, so from that point, there was then, because you shared going to hire a trainer. Talk to me on what was the defining moment, because this is critical for that inspirational point for anybody to share, that Ericka looked herself in a mirror and said, that's it, I'm hiring. What brought you to that point? What was it?
Okay, so I'm going to go back just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
When we had our third child, my husband was planning to get a vasectomy because I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. We're good with 3. But he ended up finding out that he had some cardiovascular issues. And so they had to cancel his surgery. And of course, here I am. I end up pregnant again. And I wasn't happy about it. I was like, it took me weeks to process the fact that I'm finna do this to myself all over again. And at that point, I started looking at like the whole mommy makeover, the surgery. Because I was like, there's no way I can get my body back naturally after having 4 kids in 6 years. And so I looked up a bunch of people who had done it. I started doing research and stuff. And I was like, that looks painful. It looks very expensive. It's going to be a long recovery time. And you don't develop any good habits from it. You just get your body back.
So what do they do if you being ignorant? What are they doing? Tummy tuck or what?
So for some people, it's liposuction, tummy tuck, breast augmentations, butt lifts, like the whole.
Okay, so cosmetic surgery you went to go look at and see if we got it. Okay, all right. So
the biggest thing for me would have just been my stomach. Because like when I got pregnant, by the end of the pregnancy with my 4th child, it looked like I was carrying triplets. And it's mainly because my body never fully recovered from the previous pregnancies. And so I didn't think it was possible to get back to it. But after looking at all this stuff, I was like, by the time I get the money, by the time I'm able to recover, I could have just done this myself. And so I challenged myself at that point. After this baby is born, I'm going to do this myself. And the thing that really made me say, yep, this is it. When I went to deliver her, they told me how much I weighed, and I was almost 200 pounds. And I was like, I am too short to be 200 pounds.
How tall are you, Ericka?
I am 4'11" and a half.
That is, yeah, that's, that's
so when
Emmett Smith.
I know I'm pregnant, but 197 pounds is wild to me. And I looked at the paperwork and it said obese pregnancy. And I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It literally scared the crap out of me. I was like, no, absolutely not.
Defining moment for you.
Yeah. Seeing that word in my paperwork, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm small. I'm a small person. I've always been small. And so to see that and that number, I was like, yeah, we got to fix this. Like I said, pregnancy or not, there's no way I should have been that big. And so after I had her, and like I said, at this point, I'm in my 30s because she's almost 3 now. So I was in my 30s, 31, 32. And I couldn't bounce back as quick as I could with my first child. After I had my son, I was back to work the next week. With this pregnancy, I took the weeks off. I think it was like 2 months before I did anything. I waited until the doctor said I was good before I started doing any kind of exercise because I knew at this point my body really needed to heal. And so I let it do that. But then as soon as it was done, I started my journey again. And I realized I was still slipping up. And so this trainer I had been following on Instagram for a while, I decided to reach out to her. I was like, what are your prices? Because I need help.
So and this is great too. You mentioned as far as being a Christian, having faith, did that play any part to help you from a daily, are you actively church and praying? Was there any implementation? I mean, talk to me about that, because that's, for me, it's huge part of me staying on course.
Yeah, my faith has always been big to me. I've always been very active in church. When I was younger, it was because my grandmother and my mother made me. But then even when I got older, even though I was baptized as a child, as I got older, I was like, you know what? I don't think I made that decision on my own. So in my 20s, I decided to get baptized again because I'm like, no, this is what I personally believe, and I want to do this on my own. And so I got baptized again. I was the head of the dance ministry in our church.
Amen.
I
Yeah.
was in the choir, the young adult choir, the mass choir that we had. I was a part of the whole media team. I built the website, the social media, did all the
So
stuff.
that, I mean, and giving credit, major credit where credit is not only due, but yet deserved. Your faith definitely had a power hold on you as well, making the right decisions, because I know as a brother in Christ, there's that higher power to want to make you make the right decisions. I mean, is that safe to say, right? Was mom and dad early on also very religious? Was it instilled in your family?
Yes, both of my parents are very religious.
Yeah.
So
There comes. I mean, without saying, and I said it. I mean, I try to be that detective, and on being unedited on this. We're certainly not going to open the format to talk about politics, because that's not the inspirational thing. But yet, religion is wide open, because if that is a part of the inspiration that helped you, that we can't leave that part out, because that's huge. So that in itself is also, just a huge piece on what made Ericka's mind so strong to be able to withstand not wanting to partake into the numbing agents right and early on, making the right choices, which you graciously tried to not bring up, but being part of the church and, just really rolling up your sleeves in such a big way in the choir is huge, because that was a huge influence in your life. I mean, that is amazing, but that's what, Ericka, I mean, geez, now I'm like, I thought your mind was strong before, but now it's untouchable, because you got the Almighty really driving you. So you had your defining moment. That is amazing. I just want to, because this is important now. You try to do it yourself, which every woman everybody has a defining moment, especially like January. Everybody's got that defining moment. The gym's packed, and then everybody starts slipping away. So you started seeing, I need help, and you went a step further to try to hire somebody to help you. Person that hired you, a good match, and continued? Because I know you're going to share when you stepped on the stage. You did step on the stage. So you hired the coach. Take me from there.
So initially, I wasn't even thinking about bodybuilding. I just wanted to get the baby weight off and get back in shape. I said I had my daughter in April. I got my tubes removed in August. And so I started my journey for real in September. And this is 2020, 22, one of those years.
Okay.
Yeah, because she's almost 3. So 2022.
22.
And like I said, I tried to do it on my own and it wasn't working. So I reached out to this personal trainer. Her name is Nisha. Love her to death. And we were about to move because my husband had just joined the Army. We were about to move to a new base. And so I said, you know what? It's December right now. I'm going to be moving from the end of December to the beginning of January. I want to hire you now, but I'm not going to start until January 15th because I need to be settled. We were moving from Georgia to Colorado. And so I'm like, I need to be settled first because if we start now, I know it's going to be too much going on for me to keep up with. And so she said, okay, cool. January 15th, hit the ground running. And I never looked back at that point. We worked together for 4 months and we were driving down whatever road this was. And something hit me as I'm sitting in the passenger seat. I was like, I wonder what bodybuilding shows are coming up. And I hadn't
Awesome.
thought about bodybuilding in years.
Yeah,
But
awesome.
in that moment, that was what I thought about. And so I pulled out my phone and I started Googling stuff. And I was like, ooh, there's a show a week after my birthday. Let's do it. Granted, it is like May and the show was in August. And I had no idea how much goes into a prep at this point. And so I'm trying to figure out how I can DIY this stuff. I'm looking up all the things because I didn't know how expensive it was back then. And I happened to see a coach was offering a free webinar. So I signed up for the webinar. I listened to it, got all this information. I was like, okay, let me talk to her one-on-one. I spoke to her one-on-one about her coaching options and things like that. And it seemed like a good fit. The personal trainer that I worked with prior to, she wasn't into bodybuilding. And so she couldn't help me with that. And we were both, on the same page with that. And so there was no hard feelings when I went to the actual contest prep coach. But it was expensive. And I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to make this work. And my husband was like, well, if this is really what you want to do, we'll make it work. And I was like, okay, thank you.
Support system, man. Yeah. That's fantastic.
I don't think either of us really knew what we were getting into when he said that, but he's kept his word. He's definitely kept his word. And so from there, I started a prep. This coach, she was like, yeah, August is too soon. So let's find a show in October. It was an NPC show out here in Colorado. And I did that show. I was so proud of myself. But I didn't take first in either one of them and in either one of the classes. And so I was still feeling unfulfilled. And I was like, yeah, no, I got to do this again. I was looking at my pictures.
That is awesome.
I was like, I can look good.
How did your husband feel about it after seeing you step on stage? And
he was so proud. He was super proud of me.
That's
but like
awesome.
I said, and at the time, I was proud too. And we actually talked about it beforehand because I'm a private person. I guess you can say, I'm in the gym. I am never going to be that person that's in the gym with super short shorts and nothing but a sports bra. I don't like to be exposed like that. I'm almost always in the gym with a hoodie on because that's just me personally. And my husband, with us being married, there's certain things that, we both agree are, about level of respect and things like that. And so knowing that I would have to be on stage in a bikini, we have to have a conversation like, okay, are you going to be okay with this? Is this something that you're okay with me posting on my social media and, other people seeing me like this? And once we both were okay, we said we were fine. It was like, all right.
I love that, man. That respect, that old school, true respect shit. So, man, kudos. Kudos to that. Amen. So stepping on stage, what I'm proud of you for the journey that you shared. I mean, you stuck with it. The inspiration was just your determination to get your body back. And then you had the decision to step on stage and you followed through with your husband's support. There's really nothing more that I can even pry to get out because you shared it all. Your faith, your mind, your determination, your inspiration. Kudos, man. Ericka, I'm proud of you. What a strong woman you are. That's incredible. So what is the journey? I see triple set coaching. So what spun from there on? A lot more inspiration and aspirations. Talk to me on continue the journey of there is a powerful light at the end of the tunnel that you're reaching for.
Yes, there is. So when I was pregnant with my son, I wanted to become a personal trainer. I started the certification process. I didn't finish it. I was too overwhelmed with, just things that were going on personally, dealing with my ex-husband at the time, and then this part-time job that I had started working. And it was just too much, and I let that fall to the wayside. So when I got things back together, and my husband wants to be a personal trainer, I said, you know what? Okay, it doesn't make sense for both of us to be personal trainers when being in the gym isn't all it takes to get in shape. I love food and I love the more technical stuff when it comes to that. So I said, you know what? You do your personal training certification. I'll do the nutritionist. And that way, if anybody comes to us, they get both because that's what you need, And so that's what we did. He got his certification, and about 2 months later, I got mine. And so I was working on that while I was in prep for this first show. I think I finished just a few weeks after that very first show, and we decided to go ahead and launch our business. We had like a few family members and things sign up. I think by the end of the year, by the time January started, we had 10 clients. And of course, everybody's all excited at the end of the year because new year, new me. So not everybody stuck with it, but we got to learn a lot of things and whatnot. And because we now both had this new knowledge and hiring this coach was more expensive than we could afford at the time, we said, you know what? We will train me. It was interesting. It has been interesting. But we trained me through my first show, my first OCB show, which is where I actually earned my pro card.
That is awesome. That's awesome. I see it. Congratulations. Yeah. I see the back. That is representing and well deserved. So you both did it on your own, proving your own methods, which is outstanding.
That was the goal. I was like, you know
how
what?
The journey can unfold.
Better to be
so
the
continue.
spokesperson.
What's that brings you earned that pro card? Yeah. So what year was that you earned that pro card?
That was April of this year.
That's awesome.
Yep,
That's awesome.
That was just in April.
What an amazing journey, an amazing story.
Yeah. So that my first.
So what is on the horizon? So that you both did your first prep for yourself for the OCB, which got your pro card. So what's the future? What's next on the horizon? Is he going to step on stage?
He says he will. I don't know exactly when. He's still trying to bulk up. He's a naturally slim person. And so it takes a lot for him to gain weight. But we finally got him up to like 215. And so he's continuing to bulk up before he decides he wants to cut for a show. But for me, I have several shows planned for next year. Some OCB, some NPC, because for me, I think it would be pretty amazing to earn an IFBB pro card as a natural athlete, not at a natural show. I could do it at a natural show, but I want to beat people who aren't natural. I kind of put that challenge on myself and see if I can do it. So how long will it take? I don't know, but I want to do it. So yeah, after my last prep and putting a lot of
aggressive attitude. I love it.
Oh yeah. No, it's go big or go home with me. I just can't help it. So it's crazy. I ask myself a lot of times, Ericka, is this really necessary? And I even tell myself, no, it's not. But then I do it anyways. Can't help it. So,
well, you got that's the competitive nature in you. You built that competitive nature for 30 plus years. It's like everything becomes competitive, and I could relate so much. It's like go big or go home with everything I do. The littlest thing, it just turns into a mountain. Which great, much respect to you and the support your husband's giving you. So I love the story. Another powerful individual, Ericka. So 2 questions. The first one is, if you had to give a young Ericka some advice, or a person like Ericka, everything you went through, things that bumps and bruises you have not disclosed personally, which I certainly respect, but what kind of advice can you give that young Ericka Slaton? What could you say to her?
Definitely say, love yourself more. Your pain is important. You don't have to push everything down or push it to the back, deal with it. That's the first thing I would tell myself, because that mental stuff is going to come back. It's going to come up eventually. All mine came up earlier this year, and it was a lot. So eventually you're going to have to deal with it. So I would say just definitely love yourself more and deal with that stuff when it happens. The second thing I would tell myself is everybody is on their own journey. Focus on your own. I was really bad about comparing myself to other people, especially because, like I said, I wanted my journey to start back in 2016. And so even though I still got on stage, I was always feeling like I'm behind. You know, there's girls who are doing this and they're in their 20s. They have no kids. Their stomachs are perfect. Like, how am I supposed to compete with them? I'm in my 30s and I've had 4 kids and I've got all these stretch marks and this, that, and whatever. And it's just like, you can still do it. It's okay. Focus on your own journey. Stay in your own lane. You'll be fine. The comparison is what's going to mess you up. So, yeah, those would be my biggest things.
Those are just, I'm speechless because such sound advice from a regular, strong-minded individual that went through 30 years of building a mind starting at 5 with faith till now. You know, you have that bring it on mentality, and we all, come to a point where when you condition your mind to be as strong as yours and things that come in the way on the things you want, to deal with it would interfere with the goals and the accomplishments you're trying to get. So we would naturally push it down and bury it and think it'll never come back, which, I can relate that it'll eventually surface. And that's something that we have to deal with. So if you tackle it as its surface, as a delicate point and not push it down, which is valid, you don't have to deal with it later. So it's some sound advice. I greatly appreciate, you sharing that journey. The last thing is you're well aware of this symbol, this unbroken. Does that symbol itself have any representation to you when you see, the heart, meaning the mind, body, soul? The EKG is just the life journey we have, the weights on how heavy it wants to break you. And the word unbroken, does that have any specific meaning to yourself that you share?
It does. I feel like there are so many points in my life where I could have just, rolled over and played it and just, this is as good as it's going to get, But by the grace of God and the strength of my mom and the support of my husband and other family members, like both of my dads, like I'm not built that way. And it's just like, you know what? There is a purpose in everything that I've gone through. I'm going to be able to inspire my own kids through all of this. I know I've inspired some of the people that I've gone to school with, strangers on social media. Even when I'm feeling terrible about myself, other people are telling me how I'm inspiring them. And that alone just tells me like, okay, Ericka, keep going.
And you are unbroken.
Yeah, like I refuse to be broken. It's funny enough, my line name for my sorority in college is Unstoppable.
But man,
and I'm like,
you've
that's me.
proven that.
Like, it doesn't
You've
matter what
proven
is
that.
doing to me. I'm not stopping. Like, I got somewhere I'm trying to go, and I'm gonna get there. I
Well,
don't know how long it's gonna take.
the simple, you give me chills because the simple inspiration is just don't let it break you. Just, just keep moving forward. And even though you did not, when you wanted a defining moment, you wanted to take that weight off, you just couldn't do it. A lot of people would not even a lot, like most 95% maybe would just break. You just made a phone call and got a coach and still continue to push on regardless. Didn't matter. You had to move to Colorado or whatnot. It's okay. I'll put in reserve and I'll get it. So that's commendable. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's greatly appreciated, man. Strong women like you, I could do this all day long, listening to the power of the mind. Ericka Slaton, thank you so much. I'm going to be watching for you on stage, girl.
You'll see me. I'll be there. Believe me.
I appreciate it. Thanks again.
Hey, thank